Hello, Edward here. Let's take a look at controlling multi-cell fixtures on Flex. So first of all, what do we mean by a multi-cell fixture? Well, simply put, fixtures with multiple light outputs, such as multiple intensities or multiple RGB, we would call them a multi-cell fixture. It's a fixture that has more than one light output that can be controlled. So a prime example of that are LED battens, such as the ones that I've got on the vertical trusses along the back of my stage in the capture file that I'm controlling there. So first things first, if you want to control multi-cell fixtures, you're going to need to patch them. So the patching process is identical to any fixture, whether it be multi-cell or not. So you can go and find the fixture you need, and if you've got a multi-cell fixture, you may find that it's just got the number of channels it uses, or in the case of the Strand Aurora 12, which is a batten fixture, a multi-cell batten fixture, you can see that actually this fixture has multiple ways that it can be controlled, depending on how many cells you want to be able to access. Now, once you've got the fixture patched in to your console, it will be in the fixture schedule. The fixture schedule, I've got lots of fixtures in this show file, so there's a lot going on. So if I want to be able to very quickly go and see all of my multi-cell fixtures, you can scroll the tabs along the bottom and you will see that there is a multi-cell button. So click that, and that's then going to show you any of your fixtures that are currently patched fixtures that are indeed multi-cell fixtures. And I've got a few in my show file at the moment. I've got some VL5 fixtures. Those have a main beam, but then also some LED pixels on the front of the fixture. So that's why they've got multiple elements, multiple cells. They've got the main beam and then also some LEDs. I've also got some VL800 event washes. Those are some LED moving wash lights that have got multiple LED pixels, and you can control each LED pixel. And then the SL E-strip fixtures, those are the LED battens that I had running along the back of my stage, 10-cell LED battens. Now, when you've got your fixtures patched in, I'm actually going to go and filter by the SL E-strip so I can just look at those. When you have multi-cell fixtures, they will have settings available to them. And one of those settings is the cell order. And so you may find that actually you've rigged all of your LED battens across the back of your stage, but one of those LED battens has been put round the wrong way round. So rather than going all of your cells 1 to 10 going left to right, you might actually have had 10 to 1 going left to right if one of the LED battens has been put the wrong way round. So you could just go into the setting of that fixture and actually say yes to reverse the cell order of that particular fixture. Very good idea to make sure you get all of this stuff done before you start programming, in exactly the same way you would pan and tilt invert options for moving lights. In my case, my fixtures have been rigged correctly, so I don't need to invert those. So let's come out of setup. And when you've got your fixtures patched in, you can, of course, start to control them. So let's talk first of all, talk about our SLE strips. So I'm going to go and say that I want to control 103 through 106. So I'm going to say 103 through 106 at to grab control of those fixtures. And I'm going to go into my capture file and just zoom in on those lights for now. So now I've got those fixtures controlled, I can obviously go and turn them all on at once, and I can of course go and say at 50 enter, and at the moment I am indeed controlling these battens, all of these battens at once, 103, 104, 105 and 106, which are 103, 104, 105 and 106. I can control all of those together. So I can get those on stage. I can actually then go and pick a colour on those if I want to, and I can then mix the colour across those if I need to. But what I could also do is actually grab an individual cell. So let's say that I just want to grab cell number 3 of fixture 103. Well, I could use the syntax 103.3 enter. And you'll see that when I do that, my output window has now expanded. I'm now not just looking at fixture numbers, I can now see pixel numbers of my currently selected light, and I can see that I've currently got 103.3 selected. So if I now go to my colour, I can now mix just pixel number 3. Equally, I could go and now use the syntax .5 enter. When you've got a fixture selected, you don't need to define that fixture number again. You could just simply say .5 enter, and that will then select cell number 5 of the fixture you're currently working on. And you can then grab control of just that individual pixel if you need to. So that is how we can very quickly go and turn our whole multi-cell fixture on, or actually go and start to select individual cells. Now, because that was a syntax-based process of selecting cell 3 or cell 5, we can also use our through and except keys as well. So I could actually say, in my case here, .3 through .7 enter. And I'm going to make all of those cells go blue. So I can grab that range. Equally, I don't just have to live within one fixture. In my case here, I might actually want to say the bottom 3 of this fixture and the top 3 of this fixture, I need those to go yellow. So I'm going to actually use the syntax 103.8 through 104.3, enter. And I'm now going to go to my colours and make those yellow. And that way I can grab those range of pixels, even if they're not all living within the same pattern or the same fixture. So that's using through. You can also use and, so I could go and say and .5 enter. So if I say and .5 enter, that's going to grab all of the cell 5s of the currently selected fixture. And of course, I could then go and make those go a different colour if I wanted to. And I can grab then and add those to my selection if I want to. And I've also got the except function as well, remember. So I could go and say 104.2 through 0.8 except 0.6, enter. And I could then go and actually turn all of those on to 100%, leaving cell 6 at 50. So that's really useful syntax to be aware of. Now, as well as the ability to select our individual cells, we can of course select our whole fixtures. At the moment, 101, 102, 103, you can see they are not expanded in the output window. And if I go and say 101 at, it doesn't automatically expand in the output window. It will only expand when you are selecting fixtures at cell level. So if I were to go up and say 102.2 now, that fixture is then going to expand in the output window to show me the cells. I'm going to double tap clear. I'm going to go this time 103 at, and my fixture comes on. This time I'm going to go 103 through 106 at, and all of my fixtures come on, as you may be familiar with. And this time I'm going to go and use multi-touch on my colour picker. And let's take a look at what happens. I selected these fixtures, 103 through 106, and I did that at fixture level, not cell level. Therefore, when I've selected 103 through 106, and I've then gone and fanned colours across my lights in the colour picker, the console has therefore fanned them at fixture level. So each batten is a colour, is a whole colour. But I can also select at cell level. And I can do that using the dot button on your console. So of course, if I just wanted cell 3, I could do .3 enter. But if I just want all cells, you can do a dot enter. And if you do dot enter, that will break the currently selected fixtures down to cell level. And now if I go and repeat that same process in the colour picker, I'm now fanning colours at cell level. And I can now fan the colours across the lights. Again, if I want to go back to whole fixtures, do another dot enter. And that then takes me back from my individual pixels to my whole fixtures. And again, I'm now going to repeat that fan process, and this time I go back to getting my blocks of colour again. So that's how you can use dot enter to go and select all your pixels or the whole fixture. And that logic is also applied, as well as being applied and being very useful for when you're fanning colours, it's equally useful for when you're fanning effects as well. So at the moment, I've got these fixtures at fixture level that I've got them selected. So if I were to go and run an effect right now, that's therefore going to run at fixture level. If I now do a dot enter to break those fixtures down into their cells and now apply a new effect, that then's going to be able to run at pixel level. And so I can start to go and say random, and I'm then going to get my console spreading the effect across the pixels. Of course, same functionality for colour effects too. I could go and say rainbow and randomly offset that, and at the moment I've got them selected as pixels, and therefore I can fan that across each fixture. Take blue sparkle. Let's offset that. I'm actually going to go to colour and dial out white to make those more saturated. And you can see that I'm doing that at pixel level. Do a dot enter again and reapply the effect. And this time I'm doing it at whole fixture level. So hopefully you can see there the difference between offsetting across pixels and offsetting across whole fixtures. Now, just like with a standard fixture, you of course can configure home, default, and max level values. That's exactly the same process with multi-cell fixtures as well. Just adjust the parameters you need, and of course if you want to just grab the parameters of cell number 3, you can do your fixture number .3 enter syntax, and you'll then be able to make those changes and update the fixture's home, default, or max level. I'm going to go and press home to stop the effect on those fixtures. If I go and say 103, I'm going to double tap clear now, and I'm going to go and say 103 highlight. If you do 103 highlight, you can then use the next and previous buttons. So when you've highlighted a fixture, to access highlight, you can do a shift and a home. And to then step through my fixtures, I can then hold shift and use the left or right arrow keys. And that will act as a next or previous function. So if I select the fixture, 103 enter highlight, I can then step through my fixtures and highlight them one by one. Whereas if I were to do 103.1 highlight, I can then do my next and previous, but this time at pixel level. So I can then actually highlight each of my pixels one by one and step through them. And I'm just repeatedly right now pressing shift left right to do shift next and previous. As well as highlight working at cell level, we can also use rem dim. For that, I'm going to need to configure a rem dim, a remainder dim user definable key. So to do that, press and hold setup and tap an empty UDK. From the options, I'm going to go and choose rem dim and click OK. And let's say I've now got 101 through 108 at 50%. All of them are in blue right now. And what I want to do is I just want cell number 3 of fixture 103 to be on. So what I can do is I can go and say 103.3 and then hit rem dim. which is UDK3. And that will then dim all of the pixels that are on that are not needed, leaving just my fixture, just the pixel I defined on. And I can tap rem dim again to resume my lighting state. Equally now, if I were to do a highlight, it's just highlighting that fixture and leaving all of the other cells, just highlighting that cell, sorry, and leaving all of the other cells where they are. Same thing applies to park and clear fixture. I can, if I want to, just park an individual cell. Again, go into your UDK settings, configure yourself a park or a clear fixture. Actually, I already had a park there as well. And so I can grab a cell, park it, double tap clear, and that cell is now parked on. If I go and say a 103 dot enter, that will then give me a breakdown, and yep, I can indeed see pixel number 3 is parked. And so I might want to actually go and unpark that. So when it comes to multi-cell fixtures, syntax is going to be your friend, because as you can see, it's a really quick way of grabbing control of your lights. We've specifically looked at the LED buttons there. Let's just have a quick look at some LED moving lights. So I'm going to go and say 93 through 96 at. That's my LED wash lights here. If I want all of the first cells to be blue, I could go and say .1 enter to grab the first pixel and make it go blue. So all of this logic that we've been using can be applied at whether you're using LED buttons or LED wash fixtures that also have multiple light outputs. But as well as syntax, you can use the channel faders. The channel faders can also be used to control multi-cell fixtures, but they offer a much more simplistic way of grabbing control of fixtures. If I go to my channel faders, I'm going to page up through, and I'm going to page through until I get to my LED pattern. If you go and raise the fader of a fixture, and you go and apply a colour, you'll be pleased to hear that all of the cells of that pattern go to that colour. But something else to be aware of is that if you go and use the colour picker, and I go and multi-touch and spread colours across the picker, because this is a linear fixture, the console therefore knows that. It knows it's a linear pattern, and therefore when you go and do multi-touch across the colour picker, if you've raised the fader, it will spread the colours across your light. So what the console actually does is if you have an LED pattern and you raise its fader, that is the same as me going 103 dot at. Because the console, when you raise the fader of a pattern, it's actually breaking it down into pixels automatically. That's different to when you're controlling non-linear fixtures. So if I page down and I go and raise the intensity of this particular wash fixture here, notice it hasn't split into cells in our output window. Therefore, if I go and use my colour picker, I can't use multi-touch. I physically can't spread the colours because I've only got one fixture selected as far as the console is concerned. Of course, right now I could go and do a dot enter and break it manually down, and that would then allow me to do multi-touch across the pixels. But by default, there's a little bit of cleverness going on that the console says if it's a pattern and you raise the fader, it breaks it down into cell level, as we saw. If I go and do that again, raise the fader, breaks it down into cells automatically. Whereas if you raise the fader of a non-linear multi-cell fixture, such as fixture 98 in my case, it doesn't break down and it just stays at whole fixture level. Using the channel buttons, I've got my button here. And of course, as we've already said, I can go and change the colour of all of that fixture. If I just want to change the first cell, hold Shift and click the fixtures button, the fixtures channel button. And you'll notice that each click of that with Shift key held will actually step you through each individual cell. So if you normally click, it's just going to select the fixture, all pixels, or deselect it. Whereas if you hold Shift and click the button, it allows you to step through each cell in turn. So I could go and grab a cell and make it blue, for example. Same applies if it's a non-linear multi-cell fixture as well. So this time I'm going to go and grab fixture 93. So I'm going to go and find that on my channel faders. It's on this fader here. I can shift click and I can then actually go and say, right, I want that middle cell to be blue. And I can shift click again, step through, and make another cell a different color. So you can do that using the channel buttons. Of course, if it were me personally using the console in this situation, I would rather use a bit of syntax, because I can very easily quickly say 0.7 enter, change a color, 0.4 enter, change a color. But it's good to know that you can do it from the channel faders as well by holding Shift and clicking the channel button. One last thing to mention is the fact that you've got a new set of groups available as well. So if I scroll down through my groups, I've got a lot of fixtures in this show file, so there's a lot going on. But you'll notice there's my all of my battens along the back of my stage. These are the groups you'll be quite familiar with. All of your battens, the odds, the evens, the first half, the second half. All auto groups that you'll be used to. But there's then another set of these groups, but at cell level. So if I were to go and double click these fixtures at whole level and then go and do a multi-touch, I'm doing each whole batten, all of the pixels in that batten are linked. Whereas if I were to actually break that down to cell level and do the same thing, I'm then actually multi-touch running across all of the cells of the batten. Taking that a step further, it means I can grab all of the odd cells, all of the even cells, and of course, in my case here, first half and second half will actually be the same as their whole fixture equivalents, if you like. But you can see the difference between the even strips at whole fixture level and the even and odd strips at pixel level. And so that is a bit of an overview of all of the additional multi-cell functionality that's introduced in ZerOS 7.10 software. So have a play with your fixtures. Do drop us an email and let us know how you get on. And if you've got and if you have any questions at all, please do get in touch and we can help you out. Thank you very much for watching.